Many church members go a funny colour when the M word is mentioned. Mission. Tongue-tied does not cover it really. We'd probably rather talk to others about anything but what we believe, whether they're interested or the exact opposite. But telling others has always been part of following Jesus. In the very first days, speaking out was even more of an issue. Before the Emperor Constantine himself became a Christian, following Jesus could get you killed. But one of the biggest challenges then, not unlike now, was the cultural melting pot around the Mediterranean and beyond. Greek had become the most widely used language, but there were many others among local populations. Often they were left over from past empires passing through. A rapidly expanding road network and transport infrastructure meant certain places were multilingual. Large cities brought people together from various ethnic and cultural backgrounds. For the church to take root and grow, jumping these barriers was vital. The central core of the disciples, the 12, weren't Jerusalem natives, but rural northerners. Telling others was challenging, never mind finding the confidence now Jesus was gone. But Jesus had promised help, and at last it arrived. 2 eyewitnesses recall the moment. We were in safe house. Though we're not barricading door now, we could pray there, undisturbed, and talk freely, better than in the temple. Jesus had said we wouldn't be alone, and he'd never failed us yet. We were on tenterhooks, even if we'd no clue what kind of helper this Holy Spirit would be. It were only 10 days later. Our new number 12, Matthias is praying, "Come, Holy Spirit of the living God." Standard request since Jesus left. And instantly, there's a sort of howling noise. Reminded me of a storm wind funneling down onto the lake. I looked up at the window, but not so much as a cloud. Made us jump up on us feet. The floor was shaking, though naught else moved at all. And then a crackling noise starts, like that campfire on the beach t'other week. Quiet at first, but getting louder, spitting and then roaring as the gale died away. It were pretty dark inside, but then I thought as how Mary must have brought lamps in, 'cause I noticed a glow spreading round us. But no, it were like when dawn turns rippling waters to red, then gold, running along a line of tethered boats like a flame down a wick, flickering, growing. Lightning? No. It were more like the book of Exodus, when Moses were baffled 'cause the bush were burning, but not burning up. We're all sort of paralysed. What were going on? Then John shouts, "What's that?" He's pointing across at the room at Matt like he's seen a ghost, somewhat glinting on the top of his head. I wanted to laugh. Looked like his hair had turned red. Tiny flames were dancing in every eyeball all round the room. My brother Pete's pointing at John and shouting, "Quid est?" But he's never had the Latin. "Oak oida!" Thomas yells back. "Oak oida!" And he clapped his hand over his mouth I felt strangely warm. One by one, t'others are joining in. I would say 'tis all Greek to me, 'cept it were nowt o' the sort. Any lingo you like, not that I'm an expert. Lord knows what were going on. But it were time now to find out. I'd seen 'em, whole bunch, been here a few weeks, in that house on the corner. One or two just sneaking about at first, on the run or something, proper shifty. Sapphira on the cheese stall, she used to make up stories about 'em. They didn't look like freedom fighters or pickpockets, but there was a rumour they'd to do with some criminal the Roman governor had executed a few weeks back. Then Alexander and Rufus, the leather boys, they said how their dad had been forced to carry his cross out to Golgotha, rabbi or summat. They're not locals. Me neither. Family came over from Italy, expanding our olive oil business. Branching out, Pater said. Lately, they've been coming and going loads more. Starting to wonder just how many were in there. More than a dozen with the women, though. Some must have been staying elsewhere, I reckon. Northern. Accent that thick. Couldn't understand a word. It were all, holding up fingers and pointing. You ask anyone in the market, hopeless they were. But this morning, early-ish, there were a bit of a kerfuffle. I'd opened up, usual trickle of customers, and then there's this noise. All of a sudden, like a storm, seemed to be coming from the Dozy Dozen's place. Deafening it was. But the trees were still. Fabrics on Lydia's pitch barely ruffled. Folks started to come outside looking, but nothing. Then that lot start pouring down the steps, purposeful like a squad of soldiers. Each one made a beeline for us stallholders and anyone else standing about. The big one with the curly hair, he marches over, grinning like a calabash of cat, requests a jar of my finest, and then says, in perfect Latin, mind you, "Have you heard about our Master Jesus?" I must have looked surprised, because he asked was I all right. I turned round to Dorcas next door, she's a Cretan, only to hear another one rabbiting away in Greek with her. I think I caught something like wondrous deeds of God. Alexander were just passing, but he's buttonholed with the short balding one, fluent in Cyrenian now, Stroth. Seems like that rabbi bit were right, but back from the dead and God's son. No wonder Max said they were drunk. Jesus had a way of talking to people in their own language, and now his apprentices must do the same. Confidence and eloquence were urgently needed, and just like that, the helpers' home delivery service brought them bagloads. A strangely unnerving and mysterious story then. Wind and fire are powerfully unpredictable. But at the bottom of it, preaching the gospel requires only one language. Paradoxically, it's in us even before we can say our first words. Because, you see, the language of God is love.